SPMP Balla has requested that the file on Shkozin Berisha should be one of the first files to be reviewed by Spock. Dr. Gent Stroni was assaulted on Sunday morning at Chasauta by a relative of a patient there. The cause of the aggression, being told to wait in line for a flu vaccine. Miners from all over the country again planning protests in front of the Prime Ministry, warning they will not vote for Eddie Rama if their status is not approved. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 11th of February 2019. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Oliver, and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. We begin tonight with the chair of the Socialist Party parliamentary group, Balla, calling upon the Tirana prosecution not to use what he calls machinations to seize the issue in charge of Sali Berisha, Shkozin Berisha, and Ndue Kalai for the privatization of the distribution system operator. He stated, "I appeal to the Tirana prosecution and the court not to use machinations to dismiss the case of Sali Berisha, Ndue Kalai, and Shkozin Berisha, against whom we have filed criminal charges." Albanian citizens have lost over 419 million euros from the privatization of O'Shea. I want to use this moment to call upon the prosecution to continue their investigation, and hopefully Spock 2 will be soon available. It is embarrassing that after 18 months after his denunciation, the prosecution still cannot tell us where to find Ndue Nikalai, who is a member candidate for the Prizren Municipal Council in Kosovo. Many are afraid to reform injustice because their day in trial is approaching. The path for new justice cannot be interrupted by protests, boycotts, or screaming, said Balla. For his part, Shkozin Berisha expressed obedience to Balla's sentence while ironically considering the fact that at the time he was accused, he was traveling with a drug trafficker, stating, Taulant came up with a thesis that it was the party's duty to lie to the Parliamentary Investigation Committee. He gave no evidence to the proof of defamation of the tax evasion which he made up. He tried to get all the attention back in the failed Parliamentary Investigation Commission, which he himself led. The irony is that in that period, the defendant accused me of travels and connections with people I had no contacts with. It's been 2 years and they have not verified any single connection. It is ironic because at that time, the SP parliamentary chair, the general secretary of the SP, was traveling with a drug trafficker to tourist destinations around Europe. This drug trafficker, Edmond Bego, has gotten 6 million euros from state entities. Not only has he gotten all this cash, but he won over the system by not getting the right to take part in the race because he was convicted of drug trafficking, said Berisha. New news coming out of the Chasauta. Gent Stroni, a doctor who specialized in infectious diseases, was assaulted by a relative of the patient at Chasauta. Records show that the patient went to get a flu shot, which doctors say in a service taken in the neighborhood medical clinic. However, Dr. Stroni has asked him to wait in line as it was not an urgent matter. The request caused one of the patient's family members to become highly irritated and resulted in the doctor getting fist punched. The doctors in Chasauta held a symbolic protest for their colleague through the submission of a petition near the hospital's headquarters where they sought more security in the work environment. The directorate of the Mother Teresa University Hospital Center reacted to the incident as well, and the Ministers of Health, Manastirliu, called it a barbaric act and stated that such a threat must be classified in a penal offense, stating, "Such acts cannot be tolerated, so I propose the change in the penal code to consider threats against doctors a criminal offense." Also, there will be a series of discussions to review this medical error and the way it was handled. Certainly, the voices of our medical professionals will be heard, and I believe this initiative is important to ensure the respect and dignity of our doctors as they deserve, said Manastirliu. Others at Chasauta have also condemned the violence against doctors, stating in their most recent announcement, any act of aggression against doctors or health personnel as a whole during the exercise of their duty is unacceptable. Any act of violence against those wearing white coats is unacceptable and must be treated seriously by competent authorities. Chasauta says in this case it is not an isolated case, but rather a reoccurring case that doctors and nurses in the hospital deal with while they exercise their duties. Moreover, Chisauta called upon law enforcement to look into what happened and to give the perpetrator his deserved punishment. We have a strong appeal to the public opinion to understand and support the medical professionals during their work who, despite the situation, in no case neglect the human mission, that is, of giving first aid and saving human lives, said the statement issued by Chisauta. Police have declared a search for the 45-year-old who assaulted the doctor at the emergency hospital in Tirana. The criminal proceedings have initiated against the perpetrator with the initials AM, and we have learned that he is, in fact, a resident of Tirana. After more than a month of resistance, student protesters have decided to stop blocking the premises of the Faculty of Law. The decision comes at the eve of the exam season and follows the request made by the Academic Senate of the University of Tirana. Although some of the applications remain unsolved, students say the protest made it possible to turn its attention to the problems of higher education. Meanwhile, lecturers and representatives of the faculty assemblies have once again raised the issues pertaining to the law on higher education before the Media and Education Commission. Professors also expressed concern about the decision by the Council of Ministers in December, for which they claim that such a decision will seriously affect the autonomy of the universities. MPs have requested to report the presence of police forces on February 8th at the Faculty of History and Philology to the Commission. However, Minister Sandor Leschi and Minister Besa Shahini did not respond positively. The chair of the committee, Albana Vokshi, considered the refusal of the request a violation of the law. Are new protests on the horizon? This is the question that many have asked regarding the request for status approval for minors, which has again provoked them to protest. Standing before the Prime Ministry, minors threaten the Prime Minister that they will not cast their votes in the June 2019 elections. We are 200,000 voters, and you will miss out on 200,000 votes in the local and central government, a minor said. It is our right, and it has been denied to us for far too long. If you do not approve it, it will be your loss, said another minor. Meanwhile, the head of the Union of Industrial Workers, Taf Koletsi, called upon minors not to create divisions as they are currently in negotiations with the government. Koletsi said, "We will not allow any person or specific groups that have no interest in trade unions to break the rules and to protest before the government offices." Minors claim that if their status is not approved, they will protest again on February 22nd. As the protest among the inhabitants of Astir continues for now more than 100 days, the mayor of Tirana, Arion Valiai, stated that the outer ring shall be built. Valiai claims that the chair of the Democratic Party, Luzim Basha, is using the outer ring project as a political strategy to polarize the situation, stating, "There are political parties here who have the ambition to lead this country, although their ambition cannot be escaped from the municipality as they performed no work in the municipality. They can use it as political fodder if they like. Whoever owns these properties will be expropriated. Whoever needs a home will have a home. But as for the outer ring, it needs Tirana today more than ever. And if we want the next 100 years to be even more successful than the past 100 years, we need to start now." The mayor of Tirana had a strong message for deputies who, according to Valiai, had transformed properties. He said that the public interest is also a private one, and it does not matter how powerful an MP or millionaire is, implying here that all those private people who have been alienated in the municipality's register, state land, such as in Kamsa, has been turning into shopping centers. He added that in the era of the Kamsa roundabout, despite the surprises, disgrace, and falsifications that have been made in regards to the land, a Tirana bus terminal and a train station will be built. Valiai also mentioned the controversial State Theater, stating that Tirana will eventually have a new theater. Valiai's statements were made at the ceremony of the 99th anniversary of the proclamation of Tirana as the capital of Albania. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening. And be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and have a good night.